Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're going to be trying something new. I've got a new format, a new setup for you guys, and I'm going to be trying to give you guys some extra special new content. That means I'm going to be recording live off the cuff more often as a way to try and get you guys more videos. But don't worry, we're still going to have the traditional No Bullshit videos all the time too. This is just something new I'm going to be trying, maybe sprinkling in on this channel, or I'm going to be posting more on my second channel, which I just renamed No BS News. Yes, this is a news format. We're going to be talking live, reading articles, going over the news, very similar to what we did before, just with a little less editing and a little less production value. That way I could get you guys more videos quicker, because I've been reading the comments and it seems like some of you guys are frustrated that I'm not posting enough and some of my stories are coming out late. So this is my attempt to amend that problem. Now, enough housekeeping. Let's get right into today's story. Here's an article from Fox called CNN Larry King episode featuring Biden accuser's mother disappears from Google Play catalog. Now, this is very interesting for a couple of reasons. Before we get into it, I think a lot of you already know about the Joe Biden story, but essentially Joe Biden is the Democratic nominee now. It's not 100% official yet. They still have to have their meeting and officially nominate him, but he's basically the front runner and the only runner that's left. Now, Biden has sexual abuse accusation against him, and this is pretty serious because I don't know if you guys remember a few months ago or a few years ago, but the Democrats aren't too keen when someone gets accused of doing something like this, as they should be. I mean, this is a very bad thing if it's true, but we don't have enough details. We haven't had an investigation. We don't know yet, but the point of the matter is, a few months ago, Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh had a number of accusations thrown at him, and the press was more than happy to just jump on it, throw news stories around it everywhere. But now that Biden has an accuser that many think is much more legitimate, well, it's pretty surprising to hear no one in the news talking about it, except yours truly, of course. Anyway, this story has progressed a little bit because the whole accusation against Biden first came from one of his former staffers, and she said she had spoken to a few friends about it and also her mother. So that's what brings us to this Larry King episode. Basically, the accuser's mother called into a CNN show hosted by Larry King and was asking for him to give her advice about how to deal with this situation. This happened all the way back in the early 90s, so it's been a while now, but clips of that episode started circulating on Twitter, and it got a lot of people talking, and that's why it's not too surprising to see that CNN pulled the clip. But at the same time, this is showing that they have a lot of allegiance to Biden. This is like a proof of collusion. This is showing they're supporting Biden. They're covering up for him. Not only are they deleting bad stuff that they have from before, but they're refusing to talk about anything new. If you do a Google search on CNN for Tara Reade, that name does not show up anywhere, despite, the Christine Blasey Ford, the accuser for Brett Kavanaugh. They have hundreds of articles on her. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this sucker. The 1993 episode of CNN's Larry King Live, featuring an anonymous caller who was later identified as the mother of Biden accuser Tara Reade, was no longer listed in Google Play's catalog late Saturday. Twitter user JL Hamilton shared a screenshot showing the August 11, 1993 broadcast of Larry King Live was no longer listed in the Season 3 catalog of the iconic CNN talk show. Mysteriously, though, the August 10 broadcast, which is listed as episode 154, is followed by the August 12th broadcast, which is episode 155, suggesting that episode and the ones that follow could be incorrectly listed and off by a number. Fox News later verified the August 11th episode is not listed on the streaming service. It is unclear when it was removed from the catalog. Okay, there's the big news. It was certainly missing. And I think there's some kind of debate about what the number of it was and what the numbering of things were. It's hard to say. There's so many episodes of a show like this. Larry King Live, for those who don't know, this was a pretty iconic show, actually. It hasn't been on the airwaves for years, but CNN's Larry King Live, that was like their go-to show for many, many years. Like, I remember as a kid, I was a kid when this kind of thing happened. I don't remember this episode, obviously. I didn't watch Larry King Live as a kid, but it was just something that was always on. You knew it was there. That's how how everyone knew Larry King. Larry King is this big famous announcer. He's been around forever. He's still around. He's still hosting shows and doing this and that. But anyway, yeah, so Larry King Live had this call in, very iconic, big show, and it has all of its episodes online, so you have a lot of history there. And I bet they weren't expecting people to dig up this phone call from Tara Reid's mom. I think it was kind of loosely connected, but now that everyone's connecting the dots, it's seeming pretty interesting and pretty shady. Like I said before, it's not as bad, but when you consider the fact that CNN hasn't reported on this news story, they won't talk about anything, no one will ask Biden any questions about it, which is very strange because that's all anyone would talk about with Kavanaugh. You could even go back to Trump, like that's all people would talk about. Like he had all these other accusers himself. There was the whole Stormy Daniels nonsense, him talking about him sleeping with someone, sleeping with someone else, there's a stripper, there's this, there's that. It was a crazy mess with all those accusations against Trump, and they had actually not as good proof as this Tara Reid thing with Biden. And then Biden also has other things working against him, like he's got this kind of creepy reputation. People talk about how he likes to sniff people and do stuff like that, just weird, awkward hand holding and bringing kids in for long hugs and smells. It's very strange, and you put all this together, and it seems like there is some credibility to things here. Again, I don't think we know the whole story yet. It's not all out there. Nothing's proven or factual, but it is interesting to speculate, and I do think the more greater point is it doesn't really matter if Biden's accusations are true. The whole point is people aren't covering these accusations like they covered other ones, and it's obviously a political thing. Neither CNN nor Google immediately responded to Fox News' request for comment. Fox News also reached out to the representation of Larry King and have not heard a response. Here's a tweet from the JL, the one that was mentioned. He's circled the little section there. A resurfaced clip from Larry King Live from 1993 appeared to include the mother of Tara Reid, who has accused Joe Biden of past sexual assault while Biden served in the Senate, alluding to problems her daughter faced while working as a staffer for the then U.S. Senator from Delaware. In a telephone interview with Fox News on Friday night, Reid confirmed that her mother called into the show. Biden's presidential campaign has adamantly denied Reid's allegations, but the video could be cited as evidence supporting Reid's allegation, even though her late mother in the clip does not specifically refer to a sexual assault claim. Yeah, I think it's maybe not specific enough, but it's definitely a sign in the right direction for this case. Again, it's not proof. We don't have video evidence or anything concrete like that, but you never usually do in these sorts of cases. It is a lot of he said, she said in all these situations. And again, obviously, I could be considered, politically motivated and wanting to believe this, but that's why I try to step back and just say, hey, it doesn't matter if it's true, but it definitely has some credibility, more credibility than these other accusations, which I thought were ridiculous too. I think a lot of this stuff is a waste of time, and perhaps it is political to bring up the Tara Reid stuff, but if this did in fact happen and there's some truth to it and we need to uncover that, this is the time. I mean, Biden's running for president. We're building up to this big election. They're trying to oust Trump every way they can. They're trying to shut down things and keep the country locked down to crash the economy. So it is a lot on the line here. So I don't think trying to resurface and possibly investigate a crime and a bad thing, that's not the worst thing in the world. There's certainly been worse things done in certain other topics. The Intercept on Friday first reported the transcript of the broadcast from August 11th, 1993 of a woman from San Luis Obispo, California, calling into the show about her daughter's experience on Capitol Hill. San Luis Obispo, King begins. Yes, hello, I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left here after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him, the caller says. In other words, she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it, King inquires. So those are some quotes from the clip. Sound pretty bad, pretty damning, pretty much admitting that there's a hush-hush kind of keep things quiet, don't report or rat people out kind of mentality in the government, in this kind of Senate government employee situation. And that's pretty much the antithesis of this whole Me Too movement. Me Too and Time's Up is kind of the thing that was combating that, saying, oh, there's these boys' rooms, people don't listen and believe women, and now that's what they want to do. But that's why it's super funny to see this happen now. Not funny if things are true. It's a very tragic, kind of terrible thing. If this happened to any of these girls, these are going to be things that stay with them for the rest of their lives. And anyway, yeah, it's just very ironic that the Me Too was started by a lot of liberals like this. We've discussed one before, like how Alyssa Milano, the actress, was like this big activist, big person pushing Me Too, specifically said, listen and believe here, listen and believe, women need to be heard. But then when it comes to accusing a prominent Democrat, specifically the one with the best chance currently to beat Trump, which is something, you can admit, I don't think he's going to beat Trump, but Biden was definitely the best looking candidate in all those crappy ones they had for the last couple of months. But at the same time, right now, it seems like he's fallen apart. I mean, not only do we have these accusations to deal with, but first and foremost, Biden's got to deal with like all his gaffes, his public speaking. He could barely form sentences. He could barely get ideas out there. That's the real problem here. And I think that might be another reason people haven't even got to these allegations, because if you can't form a sentence, if you can't do an interview or go on the news or make your campaign videos without waving people to give you notes and stuff, I mean, that's the first basic thing of a politician. So I think that's the problem. And that's the reason why we can't even get to these more specific things. We can't even get to Biden's policies because he's just fallen apart. He just looks really old, really decrepit, like his mental faculties are declining. He's slow to respond. He's jumbling words. He's mixing up dates. I mean, every single sign that he's getting too old, and the numbers don't lie either. This guy is pushing 80. He's almost up there, and by the time he's president, I mean, do we really think he's going to make it 4 years? Because I don't know if he's going to make it that far regardless, but the fact that he wants to be president and have like the toughest job in the world, that's certainly going to weigh down on him harder. That's true, the woman responds before King cuts away to a panel to discuss her claim. That woman was Jeanette Altimus, Reed's mother. Reed told news outlets including Fox. Later Friday, the Media Research Center found the clip in its archives, matching the information provided by The Intercept. Reed took to Twitter to confirm that it was her mother who called in to Larry King Live. And then we've got a Tara tweet here, and it says, "This is my mom, I miss her so much, and her brave support for me." Fox News reached out to the Biden campaign on Friday for comment. The campaign referred Fox News to a statement earlier this month from Biden Deputy Campaign Manager Kate Bennington that said, "What is clear about this claim, it is untrue. This absolutely did not happen. Vice President Biden has dedicated his public life to changing the culture and the laws around violence against women," Benningfield said. He authored and fought for the passage and reauthorization of the landmark Violence Against Women Act. He firmly believes that women have a right to be heard and heard respectfully. Such claims should be diligently reviewed by an independent press. Okay, well, I think Biden's trying to have it both ways here then, because basically they're saying they want to listen and believe women, but then when one says something they don't like, that's when they get silenced and pushed off, and Biden won't even really address it directly. He's having his campaign deputy person do it, and then on top of that, people like CNN and the regular mainstream media news, they're never asking these questions. They've had Biden on, they've had his press people on, they've had all kinds of instances where they could have reported on this or at least commented on the comments, and now they're taking and deleting clips and almost trying to hide the evidence. So I could see why this is a very sketchy story, and it's a very bad look for the likes of CNN, who should just be straight up called a liberal news network at this point. I think Fox was the one that called them out on this. Fox is the only one that's kind of commenting on this story, asking questions, putting the clips out there, at least giving the light of day to this situation, which is actually what the Biden campaign asked for. They're asking for the press to take care of this situation, but then at the same time, the left side won't talk about it. So that's why we're talking about it here. We're going to discuss things, and I want to talk about it more in the comments below. So thanks for watching today's video. Make sure you guys comment what you think about this story. Why do you think CNN's deleting clips and not talking about things? Why do you think Biden is trying to brush us off? Is there a lot of collusion going on here? Comment about that and we'll talk about it below. I'm going to read the comments. I'm going to respond to some today because I really want to get this new format off the ground. I know it's not as clean and perfectly edited as before. I know I kind of stumble. I'm not the best speaker, but we're going to try our best to get more videos and more news out there for you guys. So make sure you comment below. Make sure you leave a like to get this thing going, and also check out the second channel because I'm going to be posting more videos like this every day starting very soon. So thanks for your time, and now have a great one.